Yeah, yeah, Oh, I'm sorry. I was not still dancing from the last video. Welcome to part 8 of Wiggle Racer. And this might be the last part of Wiggle Racer. But this part of Wiggle Racer, we're just going to handle some cleanup and adding some things to our intro and our end screens. So, on our intro screen layer, you can unlock and hide it if it will let me do that. Yep, so the only layer that should be unlocked or visible should be your intro screen. So, unlock and unhide your intro screen. So, we have this lovely screen right here. Double click on it, and inside of our intro screen, we're just going to move some stuff around. I'm going to move difficulty down a bit, and I'm actually going to, I don't like how it was centered, so I'm actually going to move this over. So if you hold shift, it'll stay just where it is, and you can use the arrow keys to maybe move it around. And that looks a little bit more centered, and all I'm going to do is make sure I have no stroke, use the same color I was using before. You can use another color if you'd like, and my computer's going really slow right now. But text tool, I'm going to use the other font that I had, and we're just going to put some quick set of instructions, and we'll say wiggle. Oh man, you can barely see this. Let me finish typing, and then you can actually see what's going on. So I'm going to say wiggle mouse over your eraser to move. And we probably want something that says instructions, so I'll say instructions. There we go. So something along these lines. Instructions, wiggle, how about your mouse? Wiggle your mouse over your eraser to move. Okay, so I'm going to use my align tool, center it to the stage, and we have instructions, wiggle your mouse over your eraser to move. And can I just underline this one part? I don't think I can. Oh no, sad day, sad day. Okay, so you can throw on some filters or something if you want, even maybe like a glow just to show you what it looks like. Nah, you can't really see. Anyway, just make sure you have instructions that says something along the lines of wiggle your mouse over your eraser to move, so that way your player knows how to actually play your game. So if I run this, and I'm actually going to restructure this a little bit more later, but got our super cool music going, you know, we know what to do now, great. Oh no, but what is my thing? It's selectable, I can move it. That's a problem. Why? Because once again, I left this as input text. So your instructions should be static text. So make sure it's static text. And then save that. And hopefully, make sure it's not selectable. You don't have a border. And you might want to put a border around your number here. So you can just check that there. And, oh god, that's hideous. Never mind. Yeah, so make sure this is static text. Your difficulty should not change in terms of this should be static, this should be input, this should also be static. So the only thing not static should be your TXT difficulty. So save and run. Make sure our users can't accidentally mess us up when we're playing our game. And there we go. Instructions, wiggle your mouse over your eraser to move. Start, boom. But what happens when we come in last? It says 1. I don't really like how it just says 1. We want to say first, second, third, something along those lines, right? So let's handle that. Let's go back into our main stage, go under our actions, and we need to find our end screen function. And if you remember adding the end screen, we pass in a piece of text that is just a string that it's usually just saying a number, right? 1, 2, or 3, depending on the place that we come in. So if we wanted to say first, second, third, well, we could do, well, what could we do? We could say if, right, display equals 1, then we'll say, we'll change it to the word first. Okay, and we can maybe copy this. So we have to handle first, second, third. So else if that, else if that. This will be 2, this will be 3. Second, and then third we can just say, I don't know, even last. So you have first, second, and last. So what this is going to do is, if our display is the number 1 as text, we'll change it to say first. If it's 2, we'll change it to say second. And if it's 3, we'll change it to say last. So let's test this out. And press start. Here we go. I should come in first. First. Awesome. Okay, what happens if I come in? Let's try a second. That'll be a little difficult, but... okay, I came in last. Let's see if we can get one where they're really different. No? Okay. This is the real difficult part of the game, is coming in second. Second. Okay. So, there we go, and that works. But there's a better way to do this where we don't have to put if, else, because what happens here, and for this little example, it's not that big of a deal, but let's say you had 50 numbers, right? Well, it would have to check all 50 numbers, right? It'd have to go, okay, let me see if it's 1, okay, it's not 1, then let's check to see if it's 2, okay, it's not 2, well, maybe it's 3, and it has to check that for basically as many numbers as you have until it finds a match. And if you can imagine when you have, 50 numbers, 50 enemies, or 50 sets of data, anything along those lines, there's a better way to do this, and I'm going to show you how. It is called a switch statement, and how that works is essentially it's structured similar to an if and else if statement, but instead of checking every single condition, it just goes ahead and jumps to the one right away. So it looks to say, okay, well, we have the number 2 somewhere, let's jump to the condition that we're supposed to do with 2. It doesn't even bother checking the other ones. And the way that this gets away with it is that you can't use greater than or equal to, you can't use less than. The only thing you can do is check to see if it's equal to. And it'll probably make a little more sense once I put that out for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out this whole if statement thing. So we'll use the multi-line comment. And I'm going to show you the better way to do this using what's called a switch statement. It's sometimes called a switch case statement, and it's structured very similar, but with minor differences. So how we do it is we start with the word switch, okay? And that'll turn purple when you type that correctly. And then we need to pass it in a variable or some value. In this case, it's going to be our variable display. All right, so once we do that, we need a pair of curly brackets, just like our if statement. All right, and instead of equals equals or anything like that, it judges by what's called a case. So all you're going to say is case. So you're telling it this is a case that we can expect to receive. So say case, and then you just give it whatever you're expecting. And because it's a string, I'm putting 1 in double quotes because that's the string we're expecting. So if I put a colon after that, and this is just how it has to work, so you have to have the word case, then whatever value you're expecting out of your variable, then we want to, well, what do we want to do? Let's say we want to set display to say first, okay? And the very last part of this is when you're done with your case statement, because you could have multiple lines here. You could change display, and then you can say 1 + 1 and yada yada yada, although we don't need to do that here. The way it knows that you're done with this case is with break, and I'll explain that in just a minute, but basically that's to allow multiple cases. So we have that here. We're looking for the case 1 from display, so meaning we came in first, and then we're going to change the word display to say first. So we start the game, and I have to actually come in first, and you see that works. But what happens if I come in, I don't know, any other place, let's say second or third? So we'll have to wait just a little bit for these gentlemen to finish, and it still just says 3. Okay, so let's add 2 and 3. So we can copy this right here, paste it in, and oops, let's do this the better way. Copy it like that, paste, enter, paste. We're going to change this other case to say 2, this other case to say 3. The tabs don't really matter with this, it's your preference. Sometimes people like to put the breaks out this way so that we can see where all your cases start. We have 1, 2, and 3. For the first display, for case 1, we're going to change it to say first. For case 2, when we get the number 2 as text, we want to say second. And when we come in third, case 3, we want to say third. And this works exactly the same as this stuff here. I'm going to delete these periods that I had in there. Oops, because I don't like the way they look. So this works the same as the if statement. So let's put a comment here and say essentially works the same as the if statement above, but it's more efficient. All right. So let's run this one last time and test it and make sure that first, second, and third all show up. Oh, let's come in second. This is easy right now. Bam, second. Cool. What else happens when we lose? Should say third. And I'll just wait right here. There you go. So we can use this switch case for a variety of things. This is just a small example, but it's now something else you can have at your disposal. Now, this isn't everything you can do with a switch statement. I'll probably go more into detail about that later. There is something called default, where if you get a case that doesn't match any of the ones you specified, you just go to this default thing that'll happen. The other thing is that if you don't put this break here, it'll actually perform everything below it until it hits a break, and I'll get into that in another video. But for now, we have improved our intro screen and we have improved our end screen. Blah, I cannot talk. And that's it for this video.